talk. Let's see what we can do. Because you sitting with the content, you sitting with the ideas, you are producing for. Because if I look through the room, that's the age group that we're talking about that's sitting in here. Bring that content. Let's talk.
Perfect.
Okay. I must point out that at the moment, MTC TV, the platform itself is under review.
Okay.
And we're busy revamping it a little bit here and there. However, what is interesting to take note or to add to the conversation is that over the last few years, what MTC has done is that we invested a lot in our network. Now, what that says, or that it means two things, right? Number one, it means that if you are a content producer, it means that you have a wider range of people that you can now reach. So, for example, if somebody's sitting in a Kamatapati, they now have easy access to your content. But number two, it also means that if you're a content producer, you can actually now go to places that places that usually don't go to, and you can create stories from there, and you have a platform where you are able to actually sell your content. So I think in that essence, what we realized was that it's streaming platforms to be able to put on their content and also have a way where it can be monetized for you to be able to make some money out of it.
So the same way as NBC, you are also looking for everything in terms of genre and format, and the high demand from your side?
Literally everything and anything.
Okay. One Africa?
Okay, so with us, it's One Africa is a family content channel, whereby just like the two of them, in overall, we would want to acquire content which caters for a family, whether it's news, whether it's a soapy, whether it's a series, whether it's sports content. But as a commercial broadcaster, we do have a target. We do have certain objectives to meet. And as far as I know, as content creators, you guys, when you also produce the content, you eventually want to make ends meet at the end of the day. So currently, for our broadcaster, there are two stakeholders which we serve, which is the audience, which are our audience, and then the advertisers. So at this moment, there is a demand. There's quite a lot of demand from the advertisers for food-related content, cooking shows. Cooking shows is a thing that they are requesting week in, week out. So if you guys have this type of content, please don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to come and make a turn at One Africa, and we can have a chat. And then the other thing that we do is, unfortunately, as we broadcasting content, we need to have a look at the stats, and then start making our decisions based on what is working and what's not working. So so far, the other request is also based on our research, documentaries. There's also a call out for documentaries, but it should be relatable, as they have said. It must tell a Namibian story. Yeah. So thank you.
I think I forgot to ask which platforms you are all available on, just formally, like for NBC, One Africa. I think MTC, you already touched on it, that you are still in development and working out a few things, but maybe you can say what the plan is, where you will be available once everything is up and running. But let's start with NBC.
Currently, we've got NBC 1, 2, and 3. The two of them are digital, fully digital. 3 is still analog. We are in the process of buffing that up. Before next year, we will have 6 HD channels, which 1 would predominantly be news and 2 would predominantly be content hub. But then we're also looking at an educational channel. We're looking at an entertainment, a music channel. So NBC is creating a platform where everything you would be able to showcase your work. Also on top of that, we've got a mobile app available as well. It's called the NBC Plus app, right? That's the right way you put it, not app. APP is audio sound. The mobile app, what's the technical name for it? But that you can get because we've got a lot of people in diaspora that would like to watch the NBC News. So currently, if you are somewhere in South Africa and you want to catch the news, you can log on to the NBC app. And it's still in, also it is working. It is still having one or two technical problems. However, it will be dealt with and it will be sorted very soon.
Sounds exciting.
And maybe just to add on that as well, Namibia is part of the SADC countries, and we are also in development of working on a SABA TV channel, which is a channel that's going to have a grid from all SADC countries. Now, on that grid, there's also a platform for local content producers to showcase their work on it. That channel obviously is just like One Africa said, it's going to be a commercially driven one, so there you'll get I don't want to say a little bit more money. You could get money from there. With NBC, there's a total different model to it, but that is also an opportunity for Namibians to showcase their work.
Okay, platforms?
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, I know you touched on it already.
So where MTC TV exists, we had an app, and I'm assuming there was a website that you can also get reach us on as well. And the idea was really just to have video on demand for people who if in case you're looking for specific Namibian content and you're sitting somewhere where you don't necessarily have access to traditional TV, then you can watch whatever content that you want to watch on that platform, on our platform.
So you must have a cell phone, in other words.
Yes.
Not necessarily a TV.
Internet access.
Okay.
So One Africa, you guys can find One Africa on DSTV, channel 284, then on GoTV, channel 24, and then we also have got our website, oneafrica.tv, which also operates as a second channel, TV channel itself, apart from the linear channel. We're also busy working on our own app, so that we can also be up there, digitally ready, and be other.
And then also social media, Twitter, all those platforms, because what we want is, I know with the young people, it's the phones. So if you see something on the phone, it pulls you to television. So our social media is very active, and obviously the DSTV bouquet as well.
So let's get a bit serious now. We know that Namibian content creators, Namibian filmmakers, we have always been interested and maybe a bit possibly confused about what programming strategies our local broadcasters have and how those strategies align with supporting local content creators. So we know that historically there's been a lot of foreign content, regional content on our local stations, platforms, for various reasons, and we know the challenges also from the other side. But how does your programming strategy align with supporting local content creators? Is there anything specific that you're doing strategy-wise to support local content?
That's a tough one, because if you want to support an industry, the industry should be active and alive. And for the industry to be active, alive, and I don't want to shoot nobody down, but our industry in how we do things as filmmakers, as content producers, it's problematic because we know the structures are difficult. So what we do is, from our side, and there is no strategy in terms of, like I said, what you can bring to NBC. It's a conversation. The main aim is, you've got the content, I want to put it on air, let's talk. Now, in the past, like you said, there was a lot of foreign content on NBC. Yes, we had a commissioning side to NBC where there was a bit of money to pay for this content. Now, historically, if you buy in bulk, you get more for less. So when we, my late HOD Maria Indongo Nepaya, we opened up the door to talk to local content producers, and there are some of them sitting here that has had contracts with NBC where they could get a bit of money, because at the time there was a budget for commissioning. Right now, NBC has almost been in Namibia. Our doors were almost shut, so we had to do extreme things to ensure that NBC's doors stay open. However, what I do know, last year we were part of one of the strategies, for instance, was the Mukaro project that we did together with DSTV. And that was one of the things that NBC did, was to plow back to local producers. There was nobody that was employed at NBC that actually got some money to do a film. It was given to the local, producers. This year around, MultiChoice took that back, but it's still the same idea. What we are saying from NBC is that let's talk. Let's talk, because like I said earlier, I'm so passionate, so I don't take no. When I go to the bosses and they give me this long explanation, I keep hitting and keep hitting and keep hitting, because you got to tell me something. Because of my passion. So a strategy I have, I'm busy testing it, but what I'm saying is let's talk. But one thing I've also realized, producers come to me, we also get the flyby producers. They think they woke up and they're like, oh my goodness, I can produce. So then they come to you and they don't even have a production schedule. They don't even have a concept. They don't even have a storyboard. Now you have to sit there and you have to explain it to them, but you know what? I do it gladly. I explain it to them. The ones who know, the ones who have a storyboard, nah, I'm not interested in NBC. It's a mindset that we need to change. NBC is ours. If you guys don't come and talk to us and let's agree to disagree, your content, we want the content. So the strategy, let's rather look at it, not look at what happened last year. Let's look at it moving forward. What are we going to do? There is a need. We want to be part of it. We want to work with you. That I can tell you, my Director General says it every day in management meetings. We want to talk with you. We want to work with you. But you need to come and talk to us too.
So go and talk to NBC. We love that. What about MTC? Do you have any specific strategy that aligns with supporting local content creators?
Okay, so the plan initially was because we know that there's a lot of content. There's content available in Namibia, and most of it is either sitting at home or is being put on YouTube or any of these platforms. And part of the problem was that, especially from content, some of the things we heard from content producers is that you don't get the monetization of that was not really in place. So part of the plan was for us, we really just wanted to get the content, and then we see how we can best help you to monetize the content, and then you get something, MTC as well get something at the end of the day.
So you're providing infrastructure.
Yes. In terms of the strategy as to how or what kind of content we're looking for, there's no strategy yet for that. But like I said, we are in the process of now reviewing and revamping things so that we can include all of these things.
Thank you.
So with us, one of our strategies that we started with in 2022 was to maximize on local content. And in that we have done, because we've removed quite a lot of other international content. And even right now, if you go there, if you watch, there are still gaps, and part of those gaps should be filled. So in 2022, we partnered up with the Namibian Film Commission, whereby we got it was more than 50 films that we broadcasted on One Africa, and we came up with a program. It was a specific slot, 1 hour slot called Namflix, which is still existent up till now. And then we broadcasted those films, and part of this 1 hour slot is to have different segments such as where different experienced directors, producers can get an opportunity to share knowledge, come and give some tutorials. But within that slot, we also planning to broadcast local films. So, but in 2023, we had to hold back a little bit, and the plan was to now look for a corporate to partner up with that would plow in a little something that has to go to the content creators. But it was quite a tough uphill battle. And this year we have decided that we're gonna reopen, we're gonna continue with that Netflix slot just by ourselves, because we didn't get the buy-in from the other corporates that we wanted. But soon, within next few months, 2-3 months, that should happen. But part of that 1 hour slot is to showcase local films, showcase upcoming local films, and as well as at the same time filmmakers to come on board and for free to talk about their new content, their trailers, give tutorials and so forth. Yeah.
It was touched on, I think, very briefly and in passing that there are some mistakes being made by our local filmmakers when they are approaching you and how prepared they are for those engagements. What other filmmakers improve their pitching to you?
For me, there's no perfect pitching. We are creators, as filmmakers, as content, people. The way I approach it is, give me what you have, let me give you feedback, go and work on it. However, the one thing, and One Africa touched on it, is the non-budget myself going to look for sponsorships for programs that we locally produce at NBC. And my way of looking at it was to say, okay, let us show them what we have. And I've started with it, and it has changed the way that we approach it. To say that, because corporate is like, what? We've got a film industry in Namibia? No, we don't know about it. Come on, right? Dalton is here when you guys did, and Vixen, when you did that soapy for Third Wheel, you were also involved with it. When we showed at the time, well, you're not involved, but at the time when this was running on NBC, some people was like, yeah, look, they bought content again from South Africa. I'm like, no, guys, this is a locally produced soapy.
So Namibian content is the best kept secret, I think.
And you know why?
The distributors
Let me
themselves.
tell you why. Because our own don't know that we produce, because they don't see it on TV. Because you guys who sit with the content, you want to get paid. And if you don't pay me, I'm not giving you my content. But you don't realize you're shooting yourself in the foot. Because the corporates out there that needs to pay for this don't know the quality that we have. And if we don't, from a perspective of saying that, and they don't even understand what we're doing. So what I am saying, the strategy should be, let's put, I love that you guys actually have a NAM week, what you've called it. I love that. Because what that does is to show the people out there, we have the talent. We can do these things on our own, and once they start seeing it, then the buy-in would be much easier. But the problem is, you guys don't, you want to get paid. I'm not giving you my content if you don't pay me. So how do we
Well, surely. I think that's a difficult one. I mean, for all us filmmakers, we have to survive. You know, we have to pay for the services that we are procuring from others in the industry. So it's a very difficult conundrum to produce content for.
I'm sorry, not necessarily, because there has to be a strategy in how you do it. If you're going to spend, you get some money and you spend X amount of money on creating the content. Now the content sits on your shelf, right? It has gone 1 or 2 places. It sits there. Some of the films that won awards with the Botswana Film Festival, great. People are appreciating the talent and what we are capable of doing. And then it's on the shelf. Nobody else sees it. It ran at the cinema. We made a big thing about it. It was brilliant. And then So are you going to have these 10 films that you've worked sit on a shelf and create dust? Or are you rather saying, okay, let's come up with a strategy together with NBC. How do we move forward? Because it can stay there. I want it. I want to put it out there. But if you're going to come and say, no, if you don't pay me, you don't get it, where do we start? I understand that, yes, you need to make a living. And come on, also, let's be honest. It's very few of us that does this 24/7. We all have a job that pays the bills because the industry does not support us. If I could work on movies every day, I would do that, but I got bills to pay. So I've got an 8 to 5, and I do this when I get an opportunity to go shoot a film, line produce a film. I do that. I take leave from work and I go do that because the passion is huge. But and so we all have a paycheck that comes in, and you do this. We all do it. There's nobody here that does it, all the time. All I am saying is that if we don't change our mindset and sit and talk and say, okay, how can we do it? It's going to be a problem, and then we won't find a solution to it.
So we all have to come to the table to look at how we can become sustainable.
That's right.
And sustainability includes money, but it also includes visibility.
Can I just offer a little bit of advice, especially from a corporate perspective?
In terms of mistakes that filmmakers are making,
one
or
of the
general?
mistakes, but number two, the conversation that had to do with corporate buying into products and services. Because I think from a corporate perspective, you always look at the numbers. In order for corporate to buy into product or to whatever it is that you're selling, it had that you understand. You have to first of all have certain numbers, because what corporates look at is that you're investing in something, you have to get something out. Now, corporate sometimes has the money, but you need to have the numbers. For example, if you have done a film that is very viral, that everybody loves, it's very easy to go to any corporate and say, look, listen, these are my numbers. I want to do something along this way. And if you have a track record of producing really good numbers, it makes the conversation much, much more easier. It's a lot more difficult when you don't have any numbers at all to approach the corporate and ask for say I want $3 million. It's a lot difficult for somebody to say, okay, let's approve. But you are an unknown person and all that stuff.
So you should have a track record.
Yes. So to let us point is to say that sometimes as a producer, what you need to do is put out a couple of things, test the market, get some numbers, and then on your next couple of films, you might be able to get corporates on board, right? That was what I wanted to offer. Now, in terms of the mistakes that I have seen sometimes that producers make, I think sometimes we have to distinguish between there's content that sometimes that's needed to be produced for social media, and there's content that sometimes needs to be produced for platforms like on-demand platforms, right? And sometimes it's just a matter of either quality or in terms of how the story is told, how the thing is filmed, and all that stuff that makes a difference, or that gets somebody to look at it and say, no, I'm not interested in this.
One Africa experience with mistakes that content creators are making, and how they can improve their pitches to you?
So, look, I like the things that Glenda was saying. So, look, with us, we don't have a period like in South Africa whereby we only having pitch sessions from this month to this month. Our doors are always open for filmmakers to submit, and then we would organize a day for them to come and really sell that thing. So some of where these mistakes come from is a lack of proper preparation in terms of if you've probably maybe your project, whatever concept that you are presenting there on that day, just try and collect also some stats Tuli has said, to support you. Like if you've done previous films, come and visibly show us. These are the numbers that I used to pick up and so forth, because these are the type of stuff that are helping with making the decision at the end of the day. So with us, we have, I'm just not the only person alone who makes the decision. We have people who comes from a finance background who doesn't understand. They don't understand TV. They don't understand content creation. So, but these are some of the people that we need to really convince with numbers. And then the second thing is in terms of, because you're pitching there, your job is to visually, some way, somehow, you must convince us that you're selling this. You're selling this concept. You have to try and make it a reality. I also do understand it's very difficult. Also, it also costs money to create some type of a pilot episode, but probably work on some type of a story Bible or something that could be just visually appealing. So that part is still lacking, whereby people are just sending you merely a write-up in email and saying, this is my idea, can we have a discussion? It already starts from the proper, just to be organized properly, have an idea of who's the team that you want to work with, who's your team behind this. And we, up till now, we still have this one-man band productions that one person wants to do everything, and that is part of that also just creates a little bit of a distrust. Is this somebody that we could trust with to go forward with this if it's just one person who's planning to do everything? And I do understand building a team, to build a team together to work on something, that team also needs expectations, needs a little bit of something, but just proper structure, visually convincing us. Try and do some type of a pilot, or try and do some type of a visual reference that's probably on paper or something, so that we can, from my side as the channel manager, I make these decisions together with other finance people who does not come from a film background, and it creates so much of a back and forth when we get this opportunity to present. Let's use it. Let's use it to the maximum. Yeah.
Dantoko, if you maybe could allow as well, but we need to also take it a little bit further than that, and Film Commission needs to run with this, because we've got Fan here, who's the body taking care and making sure you guys, are being looked after well, but on top of that, we also have the College of the Arts. Now, education is lacking, because we are content producers because we love what we do, but we forget creating content is a business. We need to understand how to run a business. For us, for instance, we at NBC, we take in interns from the College of the Arts. So they come, but they don't even know how to do a call sheet. Production manager. I started in the industry as a production manager, as a production coordinator, actually. They don't know, so College of the Arts doesn't teach that. They teach how to do a camera, how to edit, the basics. So they don't even learn the logistics of production, nor do they know how to run. They can't even do a production budget. So that is lacking, and Film Commission really need to look at that as well, and FAN as the mother body as well, that we ensure that we train our young people. Because it's easy to say, yeah, you don't know what you're doing, you come here and you don't give me a proper thing. But what have we done? Have we taken the time also to guide them? Because the responsibility is on us, just simply because we're older, right, Dalton? We've got the experience. So we have a responsibility to empower the younger people, because we know where we're coming from. From the fact that I had to go to South Africa to go and learn to know what I know now, because in Namibia I couldn't get it. It's my responsibility to plow that back into the industry. So FAN, you guys need to look at it. Film Commission, you guys need to look at it, because that is lacking.
So I think all that is it should be taken on board. I think in as much channels, they're not giving us this, they're not coming to the table. The distributors also have their own concerns and their own complaints. So we all have to come to the table. Okay. Can you share any upcoming opportunities or open slots for independent filmmakers to showcase their work on your platform? Something tangible, that you say, there's this specific opportunity is available or will be available soon.
As I've said previously, we have got Namflix, that Namflix programming, 1 hour programming slot that will be coming up soon. It will be for filmmakers to showcase. I don't want to make a promise here, but what we want to do is to ensure that at the end of the day, you get something, but let's also be reasonable with each other. We cannot sell a 10-minute film for $200,000. People telling me I did spend $200,000, so that's the same thing I'm expecting. As Glenda has said, use these opportunities as a stepping stone to build your reputation, build your name, and become a household name, a reputable filmmaker, content creator, and then eventually you can start making demands. So Namflix, we're planning to bring it back because it's our mandate. We need to do something for our local filmmakers. So, but then also on our future, we have a website called futuremedia.com. So we have a web store on there. What we're doing with any filmmaker who comes there with his content. But I wouldn't recommend, and this is the corporate approach. If you have, for example, 6 documentaries, or you've got a series, we can have the conversation, we can sign a kind of a pre-sale licensing agreement. We will put it on our web store. Our sales team will try and go and look for some type of sponsorship, some type of partner to come on board, and then based on the split that we've agreed, then we can eventually go for the broadcast.
So I have some specific questions also for MTC, because your platform is a little bit different or more, it's more digital, or it's more, technologically inclined potentially than the standard broadcasters. But how can filmmakers effectively prepare their projects for digital distribution? Is that something you can speak to?
Yeah. Well, look, like I said earlier on, first thing is always numbers don't lie. Hey, we love numbers. So I think if you have a little bit of a track record behind you, and you're well known to have produced really good content, the conversations are usually a lot more easier. Whereas if you're completely new, nobody knows you, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But I also think in terms of, because what we know is that the video on demand platforms in the long run will take up a lot. People are starting to move on to the video on demand platforms, because like we go on Netflix because we want to watch a specific thing at a specific time, right? And so the conversations that we are busy having at the moment is also with local producers to figure out as to some of these things. How do we monetize? How do we make sure that everybody's benefiting? But as we go along the lines, when we finalize everything, we'll definitely make announcements and all those things. But I do know that, especially if you're a content producer, maybe get some numbers out there. When the time comes, we'll definitely have the conversation.
Does this also go for the type of partnerships and collaborations and the type of revenue models you are looking at? Are all those still in development and
Yes.
pending, like formal?
100%.
Okay. All right. NBC?
Let's be honest, we 3 million people, right? How are we going to monetize from 300 people? We cannot compare ourselves to South Africa, the industry in South Africa. It's a mindset change. So I love the NUM week that you've done. You and me need to talk, because you already have that on your platform. If I now want to steal your idea and I go to the same corporate that you have gone to, what are we doing? We need to, because we are only 3 million people, we need to talk speak the same language. We need to agree on the same principle. So there's so much from NBC side, what I can say with the 6 channels, right? To have something like that on NBC as well, where when we broadcast for a year, after a year, we've got numbers, we've got stats, we can go together, we can say, okay, because now it's not about you making money or I make money, it's about the money going back to the producer, and that should be the important bit. You said pre-licensing, pre-payment, give now, koop nou en betaal later op skuld. So you give us your content of skuld, and we've got an agreement. NBC, for instance, has a 60-40 deal, which means that if we put your content, we'll give you a letter that says, yeah, no, we've agreed, we'll put your content on air. You can go and look for a sponsor. Should you bring the sponsor on board, NBC keeps 40%, you keep 60%. If NBC brings the sponsor, vice versa, right? So based on this, a strategy to say, let's work on the numbers. You know, it's always good show reels too. So we make show reels of it. We create a brand. That's what we run for. If we were going to do it one-man show, we're shooting ourselves in the foot, guys. So it's totally changing the way we look at it and how we approach it. That is what's important.
Just staying on that, how flexible are your licensing and acquisition terms for first-time filmmakers?
You know, it's a crazy thing. I got an email from an honest student from NUST asking me that same question. I'm like, the license belongs to the creator. If the movie belongs to you, it's yours. I'm just talking broadcast rights. So so it's not my license, it's yours. For me, it's broadcast rights. And you, because it belongs to you, the content is yours, you then give me broadcast rights for a certain period of time, right? So I can't answer you on that because the license does not belong to me. From an acquisition perspective, that's your geld. I'm honest.
Bottom line.
I'm not going to give you hope. No, bring, will buy. Let's be honest. There is no money. But what I'm saying is that, come, let's talk. Let's see. Let's work on strategies that you can get monetized from it as well. If your content is playing on NBC, what you can do is when we do our market research, we can give you stats in terms of how many eyeballs has watched your film. What is the feedback that they said about your film? That stats is what's going to give you what you need. But if you don't,
Has One Africa got the same position on the licensing and acquisition?
Yeah, as Glenda has said, the licensing part is yours. It's your license, you coming to us, and that concept is yours. But it's all of us are in the same situation when it comes to buying, because we're in the business of, if I buy, I must be able to sell and make profit. So it's a game of risk that both of us are paying, that both of us are playing. Because maybe you would find the filmmaker sold his car and produced a movie with all the monies that he had. But then also for us, it's a risk to buy that content if we do not have any supporting numbers and so forth and so forth. Yeah, so look, we have this artist-manager relationship even with content. Content producers would come to us and say, no, I have this content, it's still my content, but spend money on it, and then when the money comes, I want all the money. It can't work like that. So we're trying our best. Even right now, as we speak, I have a content creator who approached me 2 weeks ago. He's got a concept, he's got an idea. So what we did is we helped him. He's coming to our office every day to come and work on. I gave him a camera, he actually shot something which is not looking very appealing for broadcast. I gave him all the resources that he needs. But this might eventually lead us to a point where when he gets what he wants, it's now, thank you, goodbye. So we are flexible, but the understanding of us starting to, as Glenda has said, starting to think business-wise and starting to think in terms of, I'm taking something, let's work together and try and make that money together. Yeah.
And maybe just to add as well, I had a conversation with somebody earlier. I said, you're sitting with so much content. Bring me the content. I want to put it on air, but don't ask me for money. But what I can give you is I can give you production support. The fact that NBC is HD now, we've got some cool equipment. We have some really, really cool equipment. So what I'm saying is that I can't give you per second what you've produced your show for. But you know what? I can give you a crew. The fact that you're shooting your next film attached to with NBC as a co-producer, right? Because of the contract that we have with your content that's sitting there, it's gonna open some doors. NBC, our brand has a bit of weight. Not a bit, actually quite a lot of weight. So I can give you production support. We can see how we can make it work. NBC's also, we've got a drama school, right? Where we plowing back in the industry and training people. Cecil Moller is the one that is heading that department together with Christian Apollos. So NBC is conscious of what they need to do. When it gets to shooting whatever concept you have, it will still, the licensing will still belong to you, but NBC would be a co-producer in terms of giving you production support and making it work. So not money, but there's a lot of ways that we would be able to assist you.
I think these conversations are very valuable because people have their own perceptions of what they can get or what they are supposed to get, and they might be disappointed, when they hear these things. But I think it's very valuable to hear from the horse's mouth what exactly is happening on the ground, so that people can temper their expectations and tailor-make their offerings to what our local channels can really take on board.
But we also need to be realistic about it. It is a bread and butter issue, right? But we need to be realistic of it. That we say that you cannot come and ask 200 grand for a 10 minute. Come on now. Because when they do that with me, I tell them, show me your production budget. Most of the times the production budget is a joke. Because if I look at a production budget, I would be able to tell you, does it make sense? And most of the times, a production budget, it's actually a joke. So how they've spent the money, how to even spend, we don't have line producers in Namibia that actually takes care, I know you actually one of them, right? Who spends money, the production budget accordingly. We're lacking that. And that is why there's a gap, because based on the money that you spend, your actual money that you spent on your production, at that time, you should already have a plan on how much you would like to sell it within the next 5 to 10 years, so you can get that money back that you've spent. So it's education, education, education.
We are talking about revenue models. MTC, you are developing yours. Do you want to add to the conversation of what type of partnerships, collaborations that your platform is planning to offer to creators in terms of funding, co-productions? Is there anything that you envisage of how you will work with content creators in terms of revenue models, or?
Look, again, this is starting to sound like a broken record now, but it's because, like I said, from a corporate perspective now, it's always a situation of if somebody really does have a good track record of producing good content, you do want to partner up with people like that. And I think what's been happening a lot of late is that there's a lot of creators that are also starting to produce now for social media and for all these other types of things. And so as a creator, you need to look at things like the content that I'm producing. Is it just content because it's a nice idea to me, or is something that will sell, right? Because you can have good ideas that are for you, but it might not necessarily sell publicly.
So you're interested in the commercial aspect.
The commercial aspect.
And not passion projects or boutique things that are only going to appeal to a niche.
Yeah, it can still
niche
be
audience.
It can still be a passion project. However, it still needs to sell to a large audience. Because if your idea is only sellable to the people, to your 4 friends around you, then it doesn't make sense for any corporate to say, oh, listen, let's get in partnership with this. So when you look at a project or when you plan a project, you do need to do a little bit of research to find out as to it's the guy who's sitting in a different town. Is he going to be able to relate to this? Is he going to want to watch this? And on top of that, part of what we want to do with MTCTV is that we do want to have other people across in other countries to be able to watch, to look at some of these things. So you also have to look at that. Are you just producing things that are good for you and your friends, or are you producing a story that's actually very good for somebody else in another country to actually sit there and want to watch this thing? So when you start having those conversations with yourself, then it becomes easier when you approach corporates to say, look, this is the project I want, and if I look at it, I'm like, is this just going to sell to you? Is it something that we can actually make into something much more bigger?
I just wanted to add on to when Tuli spoke about the corporate part. Look, for commercial broadcaster such as us, if you only have one short film, it doesn't. How do we sell one short film? Way it makes sense for us is if you have a series that's probably maybe 13 episodes, 26 episodes or whatever, that gives the corporates enough time to run campaigns throughout that content, because these are the type of things that they're looking for, longevity, so that they can align their brand for the longest of time with that. But one short film, one full movie, full feature film, how do we go and sell that in the commercial space? Yeah.
That's very important. I think there were some questions in our earlier session about TV as compared to film. I want to open up for questions from the audience. I think some people are really itching to ask questions, so that's what it looked like. Overall, I think my comment would be, as a filmmaker, we are looking forward to a future where local content on Namibian channels and Namibian platforms can be the rule and not the exception. We want to see ourselves on these platforms and in all different kinds of ways, all formats. And we're hoping that that's a place that we can get to in collaboration with our distributors. Okay, so who's first? Vixen? There are a lot of hands. Let's take our time.
We ready?
You see how eager we are to work with our own. Thank you so much for this presentation. I mean, there are a lot of stuff that has been unpacked, questions that are answered. I'll start with One Africa. The impression that you are creating is that you may not need to depend on corporates to come in there. Is that my understanding, that you do have a little to pay per minute for any content that may be successful to negotiate with you? Is that what you're saying? And also the second question, maybe, say if I have a concept that is a winning, say maybe a cook show or whatever, does it mean that you expect me to then come and have a sit down and say, how do we approach who? Maybe Pastor Polana. I mean, I saw that done before, or Top Score, and tap in the funding. Is that probably what it means? And the MTC, are we talking about ready content, or can we talk about concept from conceptualization through to development and maybe production, or what are we talking about? Glenda, you are mascatable, so I don't need to ask you now.
Okay, on your first question regarding the Netflix films, look, I understand as an industry that's a standard that you guys have said, that the per minute rate, but when I go into agreements with content creators, I I want us to work a journey from a space of whereby we are whereby we are building a partnership, a relationship. We're going into something, and we should have bigger dreams of creating content together. So the permanent discussion always comes to a conversation where the figures are flying high there. So my doors are open for any conversation around payment. Payment should not be the issue. It should be about what do we want to do together, long-term wise. What do we want to achieve? So getting that quick payment for that quick short film is that payment for that quick short film, but look at the opportunity. What does One Africa need long-term wise? If you go to our website now, go and identify out the gaps there and try and create whatever. If you have a production company, try and take that and tell yourself, from now onwards, I will be a supplier for this channel. I'm going to work on a kind of a business model to be a supplier for them. So the conversation around giving in a short form for the Netflix thing is that we can negotiate, and you will get money for that. Whatever we're negotiating, if we say, oh, that's too much, it should be, we would say that's too much, because maybe that's not what I don't have in the budget. Where I want content creators to see the gaps is go and look at the platforms are there. The platforms are there as platforms. We are just like, how should I put it? We just like a butchery, and you guys have the farms with the meat.
They don't watch TV.
Yeah.
They create TV, but
Yeah.
they don't watch.
Yeah. So the opportunities are there. It's for you guys to identify out where the gaps are, and then let's have a bigger strategic conversation around how do we have a constant business relationship whereby you are getting something every month out of us, probably, to grow your production company, to be able, so that your production company can produce the most, like that Netflix approved type of content, and somehow that really contributes to the bigger scale in terms of our industry. So Netflix, we can have a conversation, but it's a negotiation conversation. I can't give you a price right now. It's based on what the firm looks like, what value it would bring, and we will have that conversation. Second question was on, what was the second one? Sorry.
No, I even forgot. But,
I forgot too. I think there was
081
one
or
question
085.
there was one question for MTC, was there not?
Yes.
Yes.
Whether it's ready-made content or yes. So MPC, we are in the business of selling recharge vouchers, né? And number two, we're also now in the business of making sure you're connected to opportunities. So what that means is that when it comes to you producing whatever you produce, we have no idea how to get into that whole discussion. However, when you do have something that's ready made, we have a sort of like a network that enables you to connect to somebody who's sitting in the most remote area, and for them to be able to watch your content. So for us, it's more a conversation of when you have something that's ready made, how do we then put it on the platform so that we can make sure that that is accessible to somebody who's sitting in the most remote area in the country.
I would like to give an
Sorry,
opportunity.
I just remembered it was about a partnership, but I think you already touched on that, whether we go and find the corporates in order to then partner up and make that production strong. But you don't need to answer that. You already did.
There's a gentleman here in the middle who had his hand up from the beginning of the session. So I want to know what he wants to ask.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Panduleni Victor, and I do believe that the reason why the hand was up from the beginning, I believe that I should also belonged on the panel, right? Yes, I knew that was going to come. But the reason why I'm saying this is because, like I said, I'm Panduleni Victor, and I'm head of innovation at Ibia TV, right? What is Ibia TV? Ibia TV is what we call the online streaming platform. I had Netflix being mentioned. We are similar to Netflix. We are a digital space. We have created our mobile applications. I had One Africa is working on one. We already have one. I had MTC is working on the MTC TV. We have it already. If you can be so kind and go to ibiatv.com right now, you'll see what I'm talking about. Oh, I have a colleague
Yes.
here. Yes.
Maybe you can come up here come
you
up
can
on
scan
stage and just model your nice T-shirt there. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So, in terms of digital platform, we are a digital platform. And please, let me clarify this at the beginning. We are not in competition with NBC, One Africa, MTC, or DSTV or MultiChoice. I want it to come out from my mouth because we are going to hear a lot of Ibia TV in the coming days. But we are not in competition. What we are doing, we are adding value into the market, right? We identify the areas that the big giants are not covering, and that's what we are doing. So in terms of digital platform, we are offering a digital platform that is accessible on all three different multimedia services. We have what we call our revenue model. Our revenue model is simple, right? The same revenue model that Netflix has, we have it on our system, with a subscription base, which is a video on demand that was mentioned there earlier. And in terms of licensing, yes, I do agree. The content does not belong to the company or to the corporation. It always belongs to a producer or the writer, right? But the issue that we are currently facing in Namibia is distribution of local content, and that brings me to the next point, which is the commitment that Ibia TV as a corporation decided to commit its mission and values towards the local community, right? And I don't know how we are going to go about this, but what we are doing currently, there is a call happening. I'm not sure if people have seen it. We are calling for local content creators to submit their stories, to submit their content, and we will hopefully produce the content that is given. However, if your stories or concepts are approved, we will give you the budget that you need to produce your films. And like I said earlier, we don't need the rights to that. We don't need the rights to the film. What we will do is we will come up with a revenue model. It's already there. It's just a matter of you signing up, coming to us, and then putting the content online. If you have seen the website, it's up, guys. We are waiting.
Yeah.
For the website.
Okay. Whoever wants to scan. Thank you so much to EBI. There's a question here in front. Yes. Thank you so much. There's a question in front here, and then I want to then go back to the back. I think there are two. Well, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think we'll stop at 3 after this question.
All right.
Yes.
I just wanted to find out, with all the platforms, ABIA, One Africa, who then essentially owns the broadcasting rights? So is it exclusive or, I just wanted to understand, because obviously ideally you'd want your content to be on as many platforms as possible. So how do you deal with that? Sorry, my name is Morna Hikosa.
From our side, for instance, and we did this with MultiChoice as well, because MultiChoice provided the money. So this is normally how you do it. MultiChoice will have a first run, and they would show it for a year. After that, it comes to NBC. NBC shows it, the films, for 2 years. Thereafter, the producer can go and put it where else. So it's because, you see, as a broadcaster, I want eyeballs. So if you come to me, you say, you know what, I've got a contract with One Africa, and I've got a contract with Ibia, and their contracts is for this amount of time. I don't want to show it when it's on their platform, and I'm okay with it. Then we can say, okay, fine, let's do an agreement until that time. So the agreement that I signed then with you, I have broadcast right only for that time. The minute I show it after that time, you can sue me. That's from NBC side.
So from our side, in terms of licensing, you've got, as Glenda has said, look, it's your content, but on the licensing agreement, you've got 2 options. The non-exclusive, whereby you are free to put it on our channel, and at the same time, put it on NBC or Ibia TV. But none of us would want to. It's also not a good, it's also not, I wouldn't say, it's also not a good business approach in terms of when we're chasing for numbers, you're not going to get the maximum numbers by putting it on all of them. It's not going to do anybody any justice at the end of the day. So, but it's options which are there. You've got the non-exclusive, and then you've got the exclusive. So the decisions are usually up to the content owner to say, this is what I'm offering. Yeah.
But just to follow up quickly, on NBC made it clear they have a 60-40. What is One Africa in terms of your...
With us, there's no standard. It's a negotiation process, and based on aspects of what quality is there, or how does your stats look like, what are you bringing to the table. And, sometimes some filmmakers, content creators would come with their own sponsor. Then it should be probably it could come to a 70-30, depends on who brings what on the table. Yeah.
Okay, can we take the other two? Yes, sir? Who? Yes, there. White, yes.
Michael Pulse here.
Yeah, oh, Michael. I'm not
yes.
wearing my glasses, sorry.
It's okay. My question is actually for MTC. Thank you so much, NBC. I just came from NDTS. My location scouting was so nice. My question was, obviously, ready-made content is what you are offering. But my question would be, let's say I have my concept note, my everything, right? And I would like, and obviously I have, you are in the business of selling vouchers. If I'm able to come up with a concept that helps you sell that vouchers, is that a viable commitment or something, a co-production that you could come on board to say, hey, okay, we see the concept, you have sold us on the numbers, because obviously as a business person I have to come to you and say, hey, MTC is a brand, you don't need me to build you up. I need to add value somehow. So now I'll be like, okay, I do have a concept note. I have met all the criteria in terms of saying, hey, we'll be able to push more vouchers if we work together when we co-produce this particular thing. Is that something you could have a conversation about?
Yeah, definitely. Look, there's been some stuff that we've done that we've worked with, somebody approached us with an idea and we liked it and we ran with that. It's always just a matter of if the concept is good and really something that adds value to whatever product or service that we are offering, and then it's a discussion that we can have, that we can always take it from there. It doesn't necessarily have to be film. It can also be like a short advert or something along that line if you're an influencer or if you're just a content producer that has like a really great idea that you think might sell. Discussions are always, we can always have the discussions.
Just to say, we too, you can come, we can produce it together and we go sell it to them.
I think we have okay, here at the top. I don't want to run too much into your lunchtime, so I think the last question there. This side is not asking any questions. Is everything okay? All right.
Yeah, sorry, mine is not a question, it's more a suggestion. If you look at NBC and you look at MTC, you're all trying to do almost the same thing in terms of the streaming service, but none of you are doing it actually. You're not there yet. And one of the reasons could be because your core competency, I mean, NBC is content. That's where your strength is. You are technology, data. So my suggestion is, why don't you guys pair and work on something together? I think it's going to be more powerful.
Worthwhile discussion.
It's above our pay rate. We would love to do it. We would love to do it. It's the bosses, unfortunately. But yeah.
So there was one last question there before we break for lunch.
Thank you very much. My name is Armas. Mine is not a question either. It's maybe a comment, or maybe I'm just saying. And my brother from Libya, you are on the panel. You are just seated here. Right. My sister Clara said, or used the term mindset, which is a very important thing. And when you look at or listen to what have been said here, it's basically a thing of one hand washes the other. We all need each other. I am summing it up to my understanding to say what is missing here is the awareness. What is missing here is us being stakeholders to each other to speak the same language because we have the same interest, and that is the interest of building the industry. I think more than anything else, this is where we should start from. Finding each other halfway. MTC mentioned numbers. And when the term numbers came up, to me, it was speaking almost the same language as a university graduate looking for employment, and you are asked 10 years of experience. Where will I get that? I spent my last 10 years in university if I was not that smart enough. So, but then with a suggestion of a channel, for example, for beginners to build up those numbers, these are the kind of conversations that we need to bring to the table and help each other to build up these numbers and create what the industry need to fully function. Thank you.
I think, okay. One honorary question from.
Good afternoon once again. My name is Louise Kambara. I'm also one of the students that are funded by the Namibian Film Commission. So just to the NBC, ma'am, I would like to ask you a question. You said something like when the College of the Arts students come do their internship, they always have certain some certain qualities that are lacking that maybe I would like to request that you maybe repeat them, because our lecturer is also here, Mr. Leon. Maybe he could also...
Applause for Leon.
I just wish that maybe you could repeat them just so he could also hear them. And also, because you mentioned that the Namibian Film Commission and the FEN should take it up, but also I would advise that maybe you could repeat it again just so he knows for future reference that this is highly needed.
I'll gladly do it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Because I'm so tired teaching people how to do call sheets. I don't want to do a call sheet and a production schedule my entire life anymore. Being able to produce, you should be able, there's basics. There's pre-production, production, and post-production. Please teach that to the students. What does pre-production is? Pre-production is your production paperwork, your budgets, your call sheets, your scripts, how does your script speak to your budget? When it comes to production, your call sheets, shooting ratios. If you need to shoot a 30-minute, what is the ratio of a 30-minute? Sometimes 30 minutes and they go and they say, shoot 60 hours. Are you kidding me? You're wasting time. Production is money. Then you get to post-production. Now you give that editor 60 hours worth of content and he has to cut a 5-minute. Are you kidding me? Did you not have a shoot list when you went out shooting? But shoot list, what is not have a shoot list when you went out shooting? But shoot list, what is a shoot list? Production management, this is what I'm talking about. That is needed. Now, I've even gone to the extent of the College of the Arts and said, listen, let me teach production management. You don't have to pay me. We'll come back to you. I'm still waiting for that call. Because I'm so passionate about it, I really want to teach it, because now when the College of the Arts students come, I take them, and my planning is, my thinking is, the minute they come on board, I want to retain them. I don't want to put them out there. So what I do is 3 months internship, we give them the first month, we just teach them paperwork. They just do paperwork, and then we take them through. So after that 3 months, they should be able to produce a program on their own. All of them are finishing now. The ones that I took in for this year is finishing end of September. I've already recommended that they come on board, and in being